What's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Mega Man 11 for the Nintendo Switch, also available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC and Steam. But for this review, we're going to be taking a look at the Switch version. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage of me playing Mega Man 11, Switch version to be exact, I'll have a link in the description of this video as well. One of the most iconic characters back in the 80s in terms of video games, along with characters like Mario as well, is of course Mega Man. For me, I remember playing Mega Man every once in a while, going over to a friend's house and trying it out. For many though, Mega Man 2 and 3 are considered probably the best entry in the series as well. Along the way, Mega Man's games have been pretty much been mostly on Nintendo systems. However, they have branched out, especially onto the PlayStation as well, starting with, I think, Mega Man X4, following Mega Man X3 release on the Super Nintendo back, I think, in 1996. And since then, the series has pretty much, for the most part, have stayed on the PlayStation systems, though, for pretty much. Although there were occasions like Mega Man X Command and Mega Man Collection, coming to the GameCube and all that stuff. Unfortunately, the series also hit a snag at certain points, though, where many felt like they've pushed the series as far as they could. Some complained about, gameplay being the same over and over again. Then came one of the incidents that really would put Mega Man dormant for quite some time, and that was ultimately the cancellation of Mega Man Legends 3, which at the time was many considered to be a Kickstarter before Kickstarter even happened. And a lot of that had to do with one of the people who worked on the Mega Man series since the days of the first one, Keiji Inafune, though, left, and that pretty much left a bitter taste, to some people say, bitter taste in people's mouths over basically, with that, along with the other Mega Man games, they were pretty much canceled, and a lot of people believe that that was it, that Capcom was pretty much done with Mega Man. Of course, fast forward a couple years later, and we have Keiji Inafune, who left Capcom, basically would try to bring a second coming of the Blue Bomber with, of course, the game Mighty No. 9. Unfortunately, a lot of controversy and a lot of bad decisions ultimately doomed what was once considered a successful Kickstarter, ultimately left a bitter taste in a lot of people's mouths, and many believe because of that, it left some people worry about backing Kickstarter in general and all. I'm not going to go into the whole details about Mighty No. 9, but I do know that a YouTuber or YouTube's part of YouTube known as Stop Skeleton for Fighting did an excellent documentary on from Mighty No. 9 to Mega Man 11. I'll have a link in the description. You can check that video out as well. It's worth taking a look at, though. So, much to my surprise last year, when we later learned during one of the anniversaries of Mega Man that Capcom was working on a brand new Mega Man game, to be exact. And for many, this was a surprise, considering that many felt like Capcom was done with the Blue Bomber, and many still felt that Mighty No. 9 left that bitter taste in his mouth. So here we are with Mega Man 11 finally out, and honestly, I have to say though that while there may be some decisions not everyone will agree with, it's nice to finally see the Blue Bomber returns, and it feels like the Mega Man game that you either love or hate. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons. We'll start off first with the pro, and that is, we'll start with the first one, and that has to do with the gameplay. Basically, for those who are new to Mega Man, it basically follows an old school style gameplay, 2D type approach, the same kind of 2D approach that has been used in past Mega Man games, including Mega Man X as well. So it follows that tried and true formula, and there's nothing wrong with that in a way. Sometimes the old saying goes, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, and obviously this would be a good example applying to Mega Man 11. Next thing I do want to point out is the visuals, and I will say that while they're not blown away or anything like that, I like the art style in the game. It has a bit of an anime look. It also follows, I think, what many would describe as a 2.5D. It's still a 2D game, but the art style and sprites are a bit in a 3D form as well. So it definitely looks nice. Even on the Nintendo Switch, although obviously PS4, Xbox One, and PC will look a little bit better, it looks very good on the Nintendo Switch. And the fact that the game runs at a good 60 frames per second is not that bad either. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it could have run well on 30, but I'm glad they went with 60 frames per second. Though, it is worth pointing out that I think based on my time with it, even both docked and undocked, the game ran at 60 frames per second. And last but not least is the one thing that they added that I thought was kind of neat though, is the gear system. Basically, when you defeat certain enemies though, or if you look at or if you find, you know, places or go to certain spots though, you'll basically find our gears. These are used to basically, excuse me, basically used to power up Mega Man. You could use these to buy parts to make improve certain Mega Man stats, like he'll shoot the blasters a little bit. When he shoots his blaster, the blaster comes out a little bit bigger, to buy, you know, like energy tanks, weapon tanks, 1-ups, to the use of basically the double gear system, where one will slow down time, the other one will basically increase Mega Man's firepower though, and if you hit both L and R at the same time, you could slow down time and shoot basically your excuse me, increase Mega Man's firepower at the same time though. One downside to point out with the double gear system is you have a little meter on top of Mega Man. If it gets completely red, then you won't be able to use any of the double gears for a little bit. It takes like maybe like a minute or so for it to cool down and all that stuff. So overall, the double gear system is sort of interesting. I like the idea, I like the whole gear system they have in Mega Man 11. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, the cons of Mega Man 11. So take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Mega Man 11 for the Nintendo Switch. Also available on PS4, Xbox One, and PC/Steam. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And so far there are 3 cons I could think of based on my time with the game. The first one has to do with the gears in general. Now, as I mentioned, the pro is I mentioned that I like the gear system. I like the whole idea of, you know, you collecting gears and you use those to buy, which the gears act as the in-game currency in Mega Man 11. Used to buy either ranging from more parts to energy tanks, weapon tanks, or 1-ups, although you could still find them throughout the levels and all. The problem I have with the gear system is that gears are very hard to come by though. I mean, there are cases where you'll be lucky enough to find a gear, and there are cases where when you defeat an enemy, not all of them will drop a gear every now and then. I mean, it makes the grinding maybe a little bit difficult, and it can be difficult if you're trying to save up for like a certain part to buy, or a certain or a 1-up or an energy tank. So gears are very hard to find, especially after you defeat a mid-boss, which would have been nice if they had like the mid-boss drop a whole lot of gears and all that stuff, or when you defeat a boss at the end of a level. So again, I like the gear system. Though I like the whole idea of using gears and all that stuff to buy certain, you know, parts for Mega Man or 1-ups and so forth, but they're very hard to come by throughout levels. You have to be lucky to find them, or find a good spot, find a good level where you can basically grind and get a lot of gears and all. The next thing I want to talk about is the story, and while this isn't really a big con, it's worth pointing out that the story isn't really anything special. I mean, it mostly follows the Tired True formula of Dr. Wily threatening to take over the world with his robotic army, and Mega Man has to stop him and all. They try to make a story around the whole double gear, or Dr. Wily inventing the gear system and all that stuff. It's not terrible, it's not awful, and the voice acting certainly isn't bad in this game though. It's just the story, I just didn't feel was anything special or anything spectacular though. Again, not a huge negative, just don't go in expecting the story to be like, say, like a Metal Gear or something like that. And last but not least, It's basically the gameplay though. Now, as I mentioned in the pros, I like the old school style gameplay. I like the fact that it follows that tried and true formula that Mega Man is known for. That said, not everybody is a big fan of that, and if you didn't like any of the past Mega Man games, then you're probably not going to like this one, because it follows pretty much the same as the other Mega Man games though. I mean, yes, the gear system is something new and all that stuff, but overall it follows that tried and true formula. Again, some people don't mind this, but there are some that may not be a big fan of it though. Overall, I have to say, I definitely enjoyed Mega Man 11. I'm glad that Capcom is giving Mega Man another chance and so forth, and I like what I've been playing so far. Visually, the game looks nice. I like the gear system, though, the double gear, even though I think the in-game currency can be difficult to get in the game, though. And it follows that tried and true formula that I grew up playing as a kid, though. My hope is that Mega Man 11 does very well, that, excuse me, that it convinced Capcom not only to continue supporting the Blue Bomber, but maybe this can open the door to possibility of a Mega Man X9 2, although I do think this is kind of a long shot to be exact, would be to see if they could revive Mega Man Legends 3. Again, it is a long shot. We don't know if that will ever happen though, but hopefully I do fingers crossed that it does happen. And basically for me, it wipes out the bitter taste of Mighty Number 9, which is kind of sad in a way, because Mighty Number 9 was supposed to be the replacement of Mega Man. Now it's pretty much Mega Man 11 is the replacement of Mighty Number 9. So overall, I enjoyed Mega Man 11. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. As for which system to get it on, I didn't have a problem with the Switch and all that stuff, but everyone has their own preference. So if you prefer the PS4, Xbox One, or PC or Steam, go with that. One last thing I do want to point out for those who do pick up the Switch version of Mega Man 11, Mega Man 11 does support amiibos. When you enter in the level, you push the Y button and you'll come up with the amiibo screen. You can scan up to 20 amiibos for a day, for 1 day though. Scanning the Mega Man amiibo will get you either, I think, sometimes an energy tank or a weapons tank or even a 1-up. Scanning any other amiibos and you'll get usually like an energy capsule or a weapons capsule, you know, to refill your weapons, to sometimes a 1-up. So, and like I said, you can only scan about 20 for 1 day. After that, you'll have to wait until the next day to scan another one. So just a quick reminder for those who are thinking about getting the Switch version, that yes, it does support the amiibos as well. Okay, this concludes this video review of Mega Man 11 for the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Mega Man 11? Do you believe this is the return of the Blue Bomber? Do you think are you agree that glad that Capcom brought this franchise back to life though? Do you think this will wipe out the bitter taste that Mighty Number 9 have left out though? Do you think this could open the door for Mega Man X9 and so forth? Or do you think that Capcom should have just, excuse me, let Mega Man die and all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the subscription button and make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I do. Also, feel free to share this video and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. This will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!